footage presented in court has shed new light on the events leading to the death of blogger Albert Ojwang while in police custody at Central Police Station in Nairobi. The court added that the surveillance recordings show two individuals entering the cell where Ojwang was being held shortly before his death last year. Prosecutors also told the court that critical CCTV evidence was allegedly tampered with in attempt to obstruct investigations and conceal the circumstances surrounding the incident. The latest testimony forms part of the ongoing trial as the court continues to examine evidence to establish the facts behind Ojwang's death.
The two came back early. They were joined by BC Kimani and they went back to the searching area. That's where they remained there.
Okay.
Then Kimani himself came back to office number 2 as well.
Okay.
So one person came running from the last cell to the searching area, joining the other 10 minutes. The three are seen carrying something that seemed to be heavy towards the last cell.
Unaangalia kama kuna recorded footage.
Before the forward.
Ulipata recorded footage.
Zilikuwa.
Hiyo ya tarehe 6 na 7th June.
Zilikuwa.
Ukawa advise unless format. Yes.
Yes.
Ukasema bila ulisema hawezi kufuta for 2 days. Uka-advise nini?
Maybe format that.
Format nini?
Hard drive.
Okay. Format hard drive.
That is. Sasa nilipewa kawaida kanambia ni format. So nilienda kwa main menu. Nikaenda kwa storage. Nikaenda kwa disk manager. Nikamark the hard disk.
Okay.
Nikamark. Alafu nikaformat.
So ni alikupatia hiyo password ama wewe ulijua hiyo password before?
Nilijua password before.
Na ulijua hiyo password aje before?
Ndio niliweka, waliniambia nikaweka.
Ukapatiana hizo hard disk mbili kwa huyo mtu. Na alifanya nini?
Anilipa.
Akakulipa pesa ngapi?
20,000.
20,000.
Yes.
So alikupatia 20,000 per disk ama disk mbili?
Per disk was 10,000.
Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja and Directorate of Criminal Investigations Director Mohamed Amin appeared in court to respond to questions regarding the disappearance of 3 young people in Nairobi. The two security bosses did not address the court after Justice Alexander Muteti allowed them to leave, saying they would be required to return when needed during the proceedings. The case continued with parents of the missing youths taking the stand to give their testimony as the court sought to establish the circumstances surrounding the disappearance.
Evans alipotea tarehe 23rd na mimi nikapata ripoti tarehe 26. Girlfriend wake ndiye alinipigia simu on a Friday. Kanielezea Evans amepotea tangu Tuesday aonekane.
Umewaisikia kama ako na kesi yoyote ama kuna wakati umesikia ameshikwa kwa sababu kuhusiana na kufanya uhalifu ama hatia yoyote ya kisheria?
Bado.
Hajawahi shikwa mbeleni?
Bado.
Na hawa wakaaji wa Kizito watakuja kutoa ushahidi in support of hii application ambayo umeleta kotini.
Sasa hawa wanabiashara hata ile siku waliulizwa venye tulirudi wakaulizwa kama waliona, kila mtu alikuwa anaogopa kwa sababu hataki kuhusika. Wengi wanaogopa mambo ya kotini. Mtu hataki kuwa witness.
Na kulingana na maelezo yake, mzee alichukuliwa namna gani?
Anasema alivurutwa nje na watu 3 walimvuta nje watu 3 wakamweka kwa gari ya black. Ilikuwa ni asubuhi ya kukua na watu hapo.
Health services across Kenya are facing major disruptions after health workers officially began a nationwide strike, accusing both the national and county governments of failing to resolve long-standing labor disputes. The industry action follows the expiry of a 21-day strike notice issued to the government, with union leaders saying no meaningful steps were taken to address their demands. Thousands of health workers, including clinical officers, public health officers, and and universal health coverage staff have withdrawn their services, raising concerns over the delivery of health care services.
It is very unfortunate to come here and say because of neglect and inaction by our county governments and by extension the county governors who are the CEOs of those counties, health workers have started their strike today from midnight.
We urge the government to resolve the issue of the UHC. And this is a clear indication that the governors, or rather the Council of Governors, have failed to be able to manage health workforce in this country. And I want to say this for a record, that we'll actually be going to calling out. We want now the health services to be reverted back to the national government.
I'm here to tell Kenyans that for those who have patients in the public facilities need to seek alternative services. They need to seek alternative services. Usitumie pesa zako kuja katika hospitali na wakati zimeisha fungwa na governors wamesema zifungwe na tumefunga, uende kwa hospitali ingine ya private ambapo utapata services. And hii cost ambayo unaenda kutumia ujue ni governor wako anataka namna hiyo.
All right, that story brings us to the first break and Morning Live. We're coming back shortly.
You are watching EBN TV. Transforming your world.
You've seen them on TV.
Nakushukuru Mungu wangu kwa kunifikisha hapa.
But do you know their stories? Come with me.
If people look at me,
yes,
even before they hear me, will they see Jesus?
Wezi ambia watu mimi am a worshiper, na wakati you are worshiping people can't encounter God.
Ukisoma hiyo inabidi sana katika ile maisha yako hata kama kwamba hauimbi.
Join me, Teddy Psalmist Mwana wa Ngolo Mosio, every Tuesday and Thursday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. only on EBN TV.
Sports isn't just a game. It's passion.
He's done it. Jakub Mensik is the champion in Miami.
Drama.
Man, oh, come on now.
In the thrill of the unexpected. From the stadiums to the streets, we bring the game to you.
We bring you exclusive insights from the pros, bold predictions, and in-depth analysis like never seen before.
Get ready for the action, the controversy,
And this is bubbled over. Montez shown red.
and the moments that define greatness. The Scoreboard, where every game is the biggest game.
Yo, Saturdays are for the Manifest Show. The baddest show in East Africa.
Each and every Saturday.
From 11 to 1 p.m. Mimi Alice na Oliver Music tuko hapa ndani ya EBN TV, tunakuletea the best songs kwa gospel industry. Usikose kila saa tu. See you then.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Remember, you're watching Morning Live on EBN TV. Now, moving on, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called on the church to use its moral influence to encourage political dialogue as Kenya prepares for the 2027 general election. Mudavadi said constructive engagement between political leaders is key to reducing tensions, preventing violence, and preserving peace in the country. Speaking during the opening of the 21st General Assembly of Ameshia held and the Catholic University of East Africa, Mudavadi warned that Kenya must avoid a return to the kind of post-election violence witnessed after the 2007-2008 general elections. The Prime Cabinet Secretary also urged young people not to allow themselves to be used by politicians to spread chaos, violence, or engage in criminal activities for political gain.
Amesea wants to listen more attentively to what the Spirit is telling us through the vibrance and vitality that comes with youthful society. Not to pay attention to youthful society not only smacks of recklessness, but is also tragically irresponsible.
I call upon our young people in Kenya and across the region to reject violence, divisive politics, and tribalism. No young and promising life should be sacrificed for political expedience. Elections will come and go, but our nation's unity, stability, and future must endure for generations to come.
Democracy for Citizens Party leader Rigathi Gachagua has invited former UDA candidate Samuel Mushina to join his party, saying political competition should not create divisions after the all-color parliamentary by-election. Speaking after DCP's victory in the contest, Gachagua said the all-color results reflect the changing political landscape in the Mount Kenya region and signal growing support for his party. He announced that DCP will now shift its focus to expanding its political influence into other parts of the country, including the coastal and western regions, as it prepares for the 2027 elections. Gachagua also urged young people to register as voters in large numbers, calling on parents to encourage and support their children to enroll with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission.
We are asking you, Mushina, your son, come back home. Come and be with your people. The humiliation you faced was not yours. The contest in Kalau was not between DCP and UDA. It was not between Mushina and Kamau. It was between William Ruto and the community. And there is no way William Ruto would have defeated the community, because the community is the one that was voting. So it was automatic. And that is why they even wanted to cancel the election. So from where I sit, I want to ask you now, as you go back, especially those from this mountain, the consolidation of the mountain vote against William Ruto is complete. There's nothing else to do. I'll be asking you now to give me permission to go to other regions and consolidate my vote. Si ndio? Hii kura ya Mulima tumefunga. Sasa mimi Secretary General John Medho na timu hii, mimi nawachia nyinyi mlima sasa. Mfunge kabisa. Mfunge kila jia, kuna pahali ya mtu kuingilia. I'll be going to the coast, I'll be going to Western now to expand our influence outside the mountain. The job that is remaining now in the mountain, there are 3 responsibilities remaining in the mountain. 1, to continue making sure that our young people are registering as voters. That you must do. You must talk to parents, make sure these young people are taken to the IBC offices to register as voters. Those of you as parents, it is in your interest to spend some little money to facilitate our young people by giving them transport to go.
ODM party leader Oburu Odinga has dismissed the party's defeat in the Onkala parliamentary by-election, saying the result does not shake the party's political strength or direction. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony for the Raila Odinga mausoleum at Kango Kanjaramogi, Oburu said ODM had also won several by-elections in the past without treating them as a measure of national political supremacy. He urged Kenyans to reject ethical politics or ethnic politics, tribal divisions, and incitement, warning that such rhetoric could plunge the country into ancestral conflict and bloodshed. Oburu said the late Raila Odinga dedicated his life to the fight for democracy, emphasizing that true democracy must be built on peace, unity, and respect for human life rather than political violence. He added that ODM remains committed to the broad-based political arrangement left by Raila Odinga, saying the party will continue to pursue national unity and democratic governance.
What we know is that we are not shaken by small hiccups like the election in Olkalau. That Olkalau was like the heavens came down on earth. It is, we had won 9 elections ourselves, 9 by-elections ourselves. So why did we also not jump up to heaven? Or, huh? But we are moving steadily. We are moving steadily because we know who is our enemy and we know who is our friend. And we are not, those people are still wandering around in the atmosphere up there as to who is going to be the leader, who is going to be what, who is. For us, we have already decided. We are just negotiating to make a strong coalition where ODM clearly has its policies incorporated and would have their policies incorporated. We come up with one strong manifesto. We are a social democratic party. A strong manifesto which we shall use to sell to the people of Kenya and win the next elections. We are confident and we are not shaken. We are not shaken by any. What we don't want and what my dad did not want, he was fighting for democracy. Raila fought for democracy up to the end, the last breath. But that democracy did not include bloodshed. What they did not want is bloodshed. So we don't want anything which can cause bloodshed. We don't want incitement. We don't want divisions, tribal, based on tribes. We want a united Kenya. If you have better ideas, better programs to implement for the Kenya, don't go and collect yourself in a certain corner and you call yourself the mountain. The mountain is where? It is on earth here like everything else. There is nothing like that. All Kenyans are equal and all Kenyans deserve to be served equally. And we don't want bloodshed like my brother did not want bloodshed. That is why we came together with Ruto.
Moving on, the Embu County government has proposed a 340 million in the 2026-2027 financial year budget to convert universal health coverage program health workers into permanent and pensionable terms, subject to approval by the county assembly. Speaking during a medical camp at Runyenjes Level 4 Hospital, Embu County Chief Officer for Health Patrick Mukavi said the funds would also support the promotion of health workers who have remained in the same job grades for many years. Mukavi said the move is aimed at boosting staff morale, improving healthcare delivery, and addressing recurrent labor disputes that have continued to disrupt medical services in the county.
Enough, even the specialties, and that is something that of course the county has to work on increasing so that it can cover enough people in Embu County. That's why you see for most of these specialist clinics, we are getting numbers between 500 and 700, meaning there's a great need. So we also need to increase the number of healthcare workers to be able to meet that need in the hospital.
Staff that were handed down to us from the national government to us 6 years ago, who have been working under contract, and we are having a budget that will take care of these people so that they can transit from contract to permanent and pensionable.
A bit of business this morning. Kenya's revised micro, small and medium enterprises policy 2026 is expected to transform the country's entrepreneurial sector by improving access to finance, expanding market opportunities, promoting innovation, and creating more employment opportunities. Speaking during a business awareness forum in Nakuru, government officials said the new policy is designed to address long-standing challenges facing small businesses, including limited access to affordable credit. The officials said the government is also proposing the introduction of a national credit score that will enable lenders to assess borrowers based on their repayment history rather than traditional collateral requirements. The policy also seeks to formalize informal businesses, enabling more entrepreneurs to access government support programs, financial services, and other opportunities aimed at strengthening the MSME sector.
Today concludes the 6th and final awareness forum that SNV has implemented jointly with the Micro and Small Enterprises Authority under this series. Over the past forums, our objective has been to strengthen awareness of the draft MSME Policy 2026 and the proposed amendment bill, which, while connecting entrepreneurs with institutions that provide financial and non-financial support. Today's discussion have emphasized the importance of bridging the gap between policy development and policy implementation. Good policies not only achieve their intended impact when entrepreneurs understand them, government institutions coordinate effectively, and implementation is responsive to the realities faced by the MSMEs. The participation of the county governments, MSEA, KEBS, KRA, financial institutions, and other enterprise support organizations demonstrates the value of partnerships in building stronger entrepreneurship ecosystems. Through the European Union, which has funded the IYBA seed project, and other governments like Germany and Slovakia and Expertise France, SNV is supporting an entrepreneurship ecosystem that enables business, especially those led by women and youth, to access information, finance, markets, and business development services. As we conclude this awareness series, we encourage entrepreneurs to continue engaging with MSEA and county governments, provide feedback on the proposed policies, and take advantage of many support programs available as they grow their enterprises. As SNV, we thank MSEA, Nakuru County Government, and all our partners for the collaboration throughout this important initiative.
And the aim of the project to us is to bring awareness of the MSME policy 2026, which has been launched by the President, and also to bring the ecosystem players together. Being the coordinating organization or authority, we coordinate the MSME sector, and therefore we are here today to bring the opportunities that are there for the MSMEs to understand that market linkages is not directly from SEA, but we can link them to other organizations, and when they need competitiveness of their product and productivity, then we link them with KEBS, with KRA, and other organizations where finances are available, like the Women Enterprise Fund, the Youth Enterprise Development Fund, and many other players in the sector. So our role is to coordinate that and to ensure that we give them platform.
That business story brings us to the end of the first segment here at EBN TV. We're coming back in a moment with the newspaper review. Please stick. A very good morning to you. This is EBN TV Morning Live, and this is the second segment of Morning Live, and this is a newspaper review. We've got the Kenya's Board newspaper. There's a Standard, then the Daily Nation. We're starting off with the Standard, where we're looking at panic in the valley, and we're looking at someone who's shaken. The turnout in Old Kalau did more than fill a vacant parliamentary seat. It shook the political bedrock of the Rift Valley for President William Ruto's inner circle. The by-election result has evolved from a single electoral upset into a political alarm. At the weekend, the president's allies, led by Head of Public Service Felix Koskei, raided the Kalenjin community to register as voters in large numbers, warning that President Ruto faces what they described as a monumental threat. The message was unmistakable. Every new voter card could either reinforce their political base or strengthen the opposition, with the DCP showing the ground is no longer as solid or unsolid as once thought. The race to register, mobilize, and secure every voter has begun, turning the routine exercise of voter registration into the first battleground in the run-up to 2027. The story we can check from page 4 and 5 of the Standard newspaper this morning. We're looking at Old Kalau by-election defeat sends Ruto allies back to drawing board, and we're looking at Old Kalau upset triggers soul searching in President William Ruto's backyard. Then Rift Valley leaders launch voter registration drive as they press for 2027. Actually, I've overheard someone this morning say President William Ruto will garner 10% in Mount Kenya region as far as 2027 election is concerned. Now, they said that UDA has been winning a lot of by-elections, where DCP has just won one by-election. This is Old Kalau. Now, they say this should not bring any worry to President William Ruto come 2027. What's your view? What's your opinion as far as that is concerned? Because you say there are some voters from other regions, but in Mount Kenya, if he garners only 10%, this will push him to the seat come 2027. What's your view? What's your opinion? What's your response towards this? If these analysts say that you'll get 10% from the same, and we saw what Old Kalau did, and we also saw what people in Trans Nzoia also did. It may be another county, another constituency, another ward. Maybe we'll be doing this, maybe getting goodies from their political aspirants. But when it comes to the time and the day and the situation of voting, this will allow them to vote whoever they've chosen. Even if you've just given a lot of gifts to them, they'll just get the gifts and get to vote the person or the persons of their choice. So do you think President William Ruto or UDA getting 10% of Mount Kenya region votes, do you think that will push President William Ruto to clinching the presidential seat the second time? Your opinion on 23059 or our social media platforms, that is EBN TV Kenya across. Now, moving on with the review. We're looking at DCP's Douglas Kamau celebrating after being declared winner of the Old Kalau parliamentary by-elections, and this is of Thursday last weekend. It is the people of Kenya who are a threat to President Ruto, because the he has spread misery equally to everyone, and that has equalized the country. And this is from Professor Gitile Naituli, is a political analyst, and we're looking at maybe some of the things that took place around that day, where the Democracy for Citizens Party victory in the Al-Kala parliamentary by-election has sent shockwaves through the Rift Valley, with a section of political leaders interpreting the outcome as an early warning ahead of the 2027 general election. The result has sparked renewed political mobilization, particularly among leaders allied to President William Ruto, who now view voter registration as a critical battleground in the run-up to the next polls. Now, that's a story you can check for yourself. And also we're looking at time to reflect, where only a foolish person would pretend that the outcome in Al-Kala was not bearing on where the region will stand in 2027. Perhaps it is good that this message has come early, because it gives us time to reflect. And this is a statement from a political analyst, and we are looking at politics again, where ODM rules out UDA merger, says it will field our own candidate. Now, we're looking at the Orange Democratic Movement as ruling out the possibility of merging with the United Democratic Alliance. Now, we're looking at cooperatives and micro, small and medium enterprise development. Cabinet Secretary Wycliffe Oparanya said ODM remains an independent political party and will field its own presidential candidate in 2027. And I feel our ODM party looks like maybe it has no direction as far as 2027 is concerned. There is a time they had a demand of fielding a deputy president, or even demanding deputy president from their team, but that feels not enough for them. They want to field a presidential candidate come 2027. So I feel if maybe they gather this kind of confusion, it'd be not easy for them come 2027. We're looking at politics again, away from ODM and UDA merger rumors. We are also looking at Oburu again. We are not shaken by poll loss. Now, it's also confusion here, because we know these polls were for DCP and UDA particularly, and dominantly they were for ODM and DCP. But we are seeing ODM here, they're saying that no, they are not shaken by the laws that was seen or that they saw in Al-Kala last week. Now, ODM leader Oburu Oginga has maintained that the broad-based government remains a formidable political force despite UDA's defeat in Al-Kala. Now, speaking in Siaya on Monday, Oburu dismissed the loss of Samuel Mushina to Sami Ngotho as a minor setback. He noted that the UDA-ODM alliance had won the previous 8 parliamentary by-elections and 1 senatorial by-election before the Al-Kala contest. Now, I'm looking at this sentiments from Oburu Odinga, the interim party leader, ODM. Now, it's like he's talking of he has different versions of the story, and we can also see cooperatives and micro, small and medium enterprises development cabinet secretary Wycliffe Oparanya is saying that ODM remains an independent political party and will field its own presidential candidate come 2027. Now we're also looking at Oburu Oginga here saying the ODM-UDA alliance. So you can see there is a confusion as we are talking of here, and maybe this may not bring out a clear direction as far as the main poll 2027 is concerned. Now moving away from that story to page 5 of the same, and a continuation of the same, we're looking, or we asking ourselves why IBC should be worried by citizens guard the vote move. Actually, they've been saying that they want to vote, they want to protect, they want to count their votes, and this is something that we saw. The aspect of guarding their votes is something that we saw in Al-Kala last week, and this should be sending some shockwaves to IBC come 2027, because we saw a clear indication of what may happen come 2027. We saw maybe what was to happen. We saw the few vehicles, the Prados and the areas that were getting into Olkalau. They were banned. We saw also a police lorry being searched, so on even blocked from certain polling stations. So maybe this is a clear indication and a signal of what will be happening come 2027. So IBC should be worried by citizens guard the vote move. Now, IBC officials returned ballot boxes from various stations to the main tallying center at Olkalau Secondary School on July 6. Now we're looking at the rise of the guard the vote movement, reflecting growing public skepticism about electoral integrity. As this general election approaches, IBC faces the challenge of restoring trust and administering a credible poll. So there's a story. If you're interested, you can check from page 5 back to page 2. We're looking at teachers, civil servants to earn more under new SRC review. We saw the salary increment for teachers as far as job groups are concerned. We saw what was happening, and we are looking at teachers, civil servants to earn more under new SRC pay review. Now, thousands of civil servants, including teachers, will earn higher salaries following SRC's latest remuneration review. The pay rise is aimed at cushioning workers against the rising cost of living while improving public sector remuneration. We're looking at Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba pictured, and again we are looking at the pay scale here where A3 civil servants will earn a basic salary of between 20,640 and 23,710 shillings, with house and commuter allowances raising their gross monthly pay to between 27,390 and 30,460. We're looking at mental health, away from the story of SRC pay review to mental health, where 2 men die by suicide every week in Taita Taveta. This is a survey that is done, and yesterday there is a group of people in I don't remember the county, but they were advocating for men to be aware of their mental health and maybe to raise alarm where it just look not easy for them. Then we're looking at a dispute here where no CBA, no deal. This is the civil servants reject SRC pay structure vow code action, and this is what we had seen here, and this is the collective bargaining agreement. They're saying if the collective bargaining agreement is not there, it is not real, there won't be an deal. Now, civil servants have rejected the latest salary structure approved by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, accusing the government of undermining ongoing negotiations for the 2025-2029 collective bargaining agreement. This is a follow-up of the story we did yesterday. All the way from that to Kiambu, leaders confronting deadly alcoholism crisis, and we're seeing residents of Nduberi say many young men trapped in addiction and dying prematurely. Politicians have come up with initiatives, particularly indoor games, to occupy the youth. Now we're looking at someone here. When young people are given opportunities, mentorship, and a sense of purpose, they become innovators, entrepreneurs, and responsible citizens. We're looking at a story away from that in Nairobi, where MPs are demanding answers over dismissal of 18 pregnant police recruits. The story you can also check for yourself. Then we're skipping page 4 and 5 because we had already done that. We're looking at security here, and this is page 6. We're looking at DCI moving to unmask hooded gunmen after all Kalau chaos. I think that a story I can also leave for you to check more, but I'll be giving you more details as far as police knowing missing men's whereabouts, families say in court. Now, 1 month after disappearing before the Gen Z anniversary protest, 3 Nairobi men remain unaccounted for. Families gave emotional testimony detailing alleged abductions and fruitless searches, urging the High Court to compel police to produce the men. We're looking at someone pictured here, and is Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja is behind this story, so you can check it for yourself. We're looking at another story, and this concerns health, where patients on their own as hospital staff down their tools. Now, union leaders said the nationwide strike follows months of failed negotiations. Health unions caucus has accused county governments of failing to employ universal health coverage workers. We are looking at Health Union Caucus Chairperson Peterson Washira speaking when the union announced a national strike beginning yesterday. You can also check that story from page 8 and looking at, page 7, we're looking at who killed them. The mystery of 7 bodies down in Mwingi, and actually this is a follow-up story that we did some few days ago. 7 unidentified bodies, 2 crime scenes, and 2 missing persons reports that have left Mwingi gripped by fear. Now, with no missing persons reports to get them, detectives are racing to solve baffling murder mystery. Now, this is in Kitui, and as you descend into a gully barely 30 meters off the Mwingi-Garissa Road, just outside Mwingi town, a heavy suffocating stench immediately fills the air. Now, police tape marking the area as a crime scene still flutters in the wind around the spot where the bodies of 4 men were recovered a few weeks ago. Even after the bodies were exhumed from a shallow graves, the lingering smell of decomposition suggests they may have lain there for weeks before being discovered. Now, hidden by thick vegetation, the gully collects the runoff water from Mwingi town before draining into River Tier. Now, had it not been concealed, motorists and pedestrians on the highway would likely have spotted the bodies much earlier. The scene has left residents grappling with a chilling and unresolved mystery. You can check that story for yourself, but 4 bodies were discovered in shallow graves outside Mwingi weeks earlier. 3 more victims had been found nearby, deepening a chilling mystery. Now, away from that story, we are looking at health again, where WHO warns DRC Ebola response is falling behind as death toll tops 900. It's a follow-up story. You can also check for yourself. And another follow-up story here as far as Ojwang is concerned. Albert Ojwang, you remember that story, a blogger and a teacher. We're looking at a story here where DPP Ojwang was murdered inside Central Police cell. Remember, there is a place and a time where stories were, or rumors were, that he just knocked himself against or on a wall and the cells. Now, this is not true. It is proven otherwise, that a prosecution tells court evidence disproves suicide claims and points to a planned killing. Technicians testifies he was paid to erase surveillance footage in alleged cover-up. I want to imagine a police officer doing this to a fellow Kenyan. This is so pathetic, and this is heartless, and this is so inhuman. We can see from right here, and they are pictured Meshach Ojwang, the father of Albert Ojwang, accompanied by his mother Dikabeth Adhiambo and Aunt Ofra Atieno and wife Nevnina Onyango during a requiem mass at Ridgeways Baptist Church, Nairobi. This is on July last year, 2025. If you're interested in that, a follow-up story, and maybe getting more details and maybe fresher and more true details as far as this story is concerned, you can check it from page 9 of the Standard. On the opinion on the Standard this morning, President Ruto is performing across the country. Anyone saying that Ruto is not working is not in their right sense of thinking. This is not true. It is an opinion on the Standard. So this is an opinion from John Badi, Treasury Cabinet Secretary. So there is his opinion. He's saying, and in a repeat, President Ruto is performing across the country. Anyone saying that Ruto is not working is not in their right sense of thinking. That is your Treasury CS John Badi. Now, editorial, take deliberate action to silence the drums of war. Now, as a story you can check for yourself. Now below, we're looking at the caricature this morning. Watch and learn with me. We're looking at someone teaching all Kalau election learning points. The people are supreme, and you can see some dots down there, and we can see some numerical representations. And this is to show that this 1 point is not the only point. So you need to learn a lot of things. You need to learn a lot of points from the all Kalau by-election. Someone against them is worried, and you can see hands on the chin, and this is to show that they are a bit worried. That's why someone has just decided to sacrifice themselves, and maybe to get or even to teach them some points. That this is all politics, so you can check that story from the caricature on page 10 of the Standard. Now we're looking at upfront, where there is much more to Football World Cup than entertainment. So check that for yourself. We're looking at a collection of stories here. We're looking at Palava. We're looking at do you support High Court decision on Bang. We are looking at Kadambi's bearing reasoning. We're looking at the right to practice their religion. So you can check that story. We have also a story from the Chief Justice Martha Koome. We're also looking at a story from Alex Chegema, sub-editor The Standard. So you can check this for yourself. And also there is a story on Omaro's attack on Standard after UDA by-election laws and called for. So check that for yourself. We're looking at an opinion again here on page 12, where Levis Matthew, ordained church minister and a researcher in Old Testament and African biblical hermeneutics. So check that for yourself. We're looking at Sunday Christians' prophetic challenge in the Kenyan church. So check it also for yourself. This reality explains why many believers can participate enthusiastically in worship while simultaneously engaging in practices that undermine justice, truth, and integrity. The issue is not a lack of religion, it is a lack of transformation. Page 13 was the Reader's Corner. On the Standard, we're looking at what is out on X, we're looking at CBE, we're looking at the internet, we're looking at what's out from the web, we're also looking at fairness, and we're also looking at devolution, where Nyamira's development progress isn't impressive. And you can see also Sifuna's removal risks of political victimization. Check that story for yourself on page 14. Tusome, how Kenya is helping write Africa's education story. From Tusome to data-driven reforms, Kenya's education model is shaping the continent's push to improve foundational learning. Education leaders warn implementation of policy is Africa's biggest challenge, as millions of children still struggle with basic literacy and numeracy. We're also looking at Flex 2026 in Lilongwe, Malawi, brought together key education stakeholders to monitor interventions and share initiatives that improve foundational learning. We can also have a point here from John Ololtua, Kenya's basic education PS, where we have learned that assessment data is most valuable because it helps identify learners who are lagging behind in achieving expected learning outcomes. It also helps to inform the guidance and interventions we are put in place. We're looking at business here, and this is all about financial standard. The costly local loan spike debt servicing to 862 billion, and this is an audit here where National Treasury bypassed Parliament and termed expensive domestic debt that account for 82% of debt servicing costs, gobbling per taxpayers billions. And you can check that story for yourself. Page 16, we're looking at financial standard. You can check that for yourself. And data sender battles now reviving our politics. Worldwide page 17 audited flag as domestic debt fee. It's 862 billion borrowing spree. So you can check that for yourself. But before we go, there is some key figures that I have to give out. We're looking at 12 0.86 trillion. This is the public debt as of April 2026, largely on account of further growth in domestic debt, which stood at 7.19 trillion, while external debt surged slightly to 5.67 trillion. Now, we're also looking at 861.7 billion amount that was used on repayment to local lenders. We're also looking at this high cost of servicing local loans was despite domestic debt accounting for 53% of total public debt, estimated at 6.29 trillion as of June 2025, again as a foreign debt debts at 5.45 trillion of 47% of the total debt. We're also looking at 11.8 trillion is the public debt as of June 2025. So you can see the increment. So this is to tell you that nothing is happening. So we're looking at total debt servicing over the year stood at 1.045 trillion, of which 183.6 billion was used to service loans. Now that's away. The stories from the Standard this morning, so you can check it for yourself if you need more stories on the same. So we're looking at the Daily Nation this morning, where Snail Space, a team from DCI headquarters, still waiting for complainants to file reports. We are looking at the untouchables, where we're looking at these there are some 3 vehicles here, or 4 of them actually. We're looking at KCQ 488H is registered as a black Mercedes-Benz wagon ML350, but in Old Kalau the same number plate was on a silver Toyota Prado TX. And remember, this Daily Nation is putting it very clear. The untouchables. Now, the second vehicle, or the second car here, actually, this is KDW600Q, a black Toyota Land Cruiser V8 with armed men and registration plate KDW600Q, but a private company says that registration number belongs to each vehicle. It's a Toyota Probox if you watched carefully. So now it is also indicated here. So the third one is a white Toyota area bearing the number KDX410K. The vehicle is registered to a company owned by a Pakistani car dealer based in Mombasa. Now, maybe for this Pakistani car dealer, if your car was, if this is exactly your car, and maybe it was used in the attack during the Old Kalau by-election, how do you think you will be doing your business here in Kenya? So think of it very carefully if this car really belongs to you. Now we're looking at 4 days after armed hooded men in flashy vehicles unleashed terror on residents during the Old Kalau by-election last Thursday. There have been no arrests yet. Police are also yet to summon the registered owners of vehicles captured in the chaotic scenes, including an MP as well as several individuals caught on camera appearing to engage in voter bribery and other electoral offenses to record statements. This has raised questions to whether the latest investigation will still like over a dozen others involving violent gangs attacking unarmed civilians. So that story will be taking later from page 4 of the Daily Nation. You can see pictured armed wounded men in Suves and Old Kalau on July 17th. All right, and now we're looking at that story here, where desperate students pose as offers to get high university scholarships. We are looking at 55% students from the most vulnerable households receive the highest scholarship allocation, with the government paying more than half of their tuition costs and the balance topped up by loans. We're also looking at a murder trial here, where DPP or now police officers plan to join killing. State prosecutors have told court the death of teacher and blogger Albert Ojwang in custody followed assault by police officers who sought to cover up the murder. We are looking at politics here, where Gachagua to Kindiki's defense were in a surprise development. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has vowed to shield his successor, Kithure Kindiki, from attacks by his political opponents. This is interesting, all right? Now we're looking at medicine you trust may not be genuine. This is DN2, and this is your healthy nation. Page 2, we're looking at education. We have more than 200,000 students have begun applying for scholarships, help loans ahead of September intake. Students scale parents for bigger varsity scholarships. Now, this scale is quoted, so you can read that story for yourself. But we're looking at Universities Fund Acting Chief Executive Officer Dr. Edwin Wanyonyi during a past event. Page 2. Or page 3 of the Daily Nation, we're looking at allegation where police initially said that Ojwang had died after repeatedly hitting his head against a wall. Now, witnesses say OCS Talam ordered deletion of footage in Ojwang case. Now, also looking at Ojwang was killed at the Central Police Station in Nairobi after being arrested in Homa Bay over a blog post. Is that so dangerous? Right, check that story also. Now we're looking at Empty Talk, a story that was seen yesterday also on the Daily Nation, and this concerned CS Murkomen, concerned also Kanja and Amin, the Director of Criminal Investigations. Now, we're looking at Empty Talks here, where investigations into violence are yet to start despite declarations by the Interior CS and DCI boss. Now, we're also looking at a repeat here where they are the untouchables from the vehicles that I've just shown you. Police are in action on Olkalaukon's raises eyebrows. We're looking at 6 number of hooded and armed men who attacked NTV journalists during the Olkalau by-election on Thursday. They stole a camera and a mobile phone from them. Away from that story, and maybe a continuation of the same justice, where Inspector General of Police DCI boss told they will not only return later if personal responses are required. IG Kanja remain in court of a missing man. Now we're looking at a frustration here where mothers search remain fruitless. Bodies which MPs Panela Alo was shown at Thika Level 5 Hospital when she went there to look for her son. Evans Otieno has been missing. Ms. Alo testified yesterday in court that he had searched extensively for her son in police stations, hospitals and mortuaries without success. Now, page 6. We're looking at a convention. A regional Catholic Bishops' Conference begins in Nairobi. Archbishop Mweria calls for civility in politics. No life should be sacrificed for politics, and this is a statement from Mudavadi. Now you can check that story for yourself. Page 7, we're looking at court rejecting bid to bar former senior leaders from public office. Now in politics again, we're looking at Mr. Gachagua repeatedly portrayed Kindiki as a willing participant in political persecution of Mount Kenya. Now Gachagua orders his allies to stop attacks on Kindiki. If you're interested in this story, check from page 7. We're looking at politics again, where a delegation from the region recently visited former DP Gachagua at East Wamunyoro home. Ruto to assault the Rift political backyard as disconnect or discontent grows. Now, President William Ruto, during a meeting with grassroots leaders from Bungoma County at State House, Nairobi. Away from that story, we're looking at a construction of Raila Mausoleum in Bondo. ODM leader Dr. Oburu Oginga joins members of a cultural troupe in a traditional dance during yesterday's site and groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of the Raila Amolo Odinga Mausoleum at Kango Kajaramongi in Bondo, Siaya County. Page 9 is all about business. You can check it for yourself. We're looking at national news here and health matters here. According to SHA, the fee supports the digital infrastructure. Hospitals demand answers over SHA's 2Ps deduction. Now, we're looking at Social Health Authority CEO Dr. Masi Mwangangi. Now we're also looking at a story so different. Seme MP and Health Committee Chairperson James Nyikali and hope as MPs back insurance cover for hemophilia patients. We are looking at 2%, which is sources familiar with the system say FinSprint is the entity that applies the 2% deduction before transferring funds to healthcare providers. You can check there is job opportunity here. This is from Trans Nzoia County Water and Sanitation Company. So kama unataka kazi, rush to page 11 of the Daily Nation. Now, all Kalau's bitter aftertaste, democracy under threat. We're looking at the state forces a love monopoly on force, and that force must be experienced or must be exercised openly, professionally and accountably. Police officers are public servants, not shadowy figures in a low-budget political thriller. So they have to be uniformed so that it is easy for the citizens to identify them. Now, Kenya's move to join AI body is strategic. Read that for yourself. Then page 13, we're looking at stop empty talk and take firm action against goons. It's a story repeated and repeated and repeated. Now, AG's word on justice. You can check it for yourself. We're looking at the caricature this morning, and we are looking at the evolution of political violence. This is very serious because you can see someone throwing a stone, and that is where we started. That's where we are talking of evolution of political violence. We are looking at someone started with a stone. You remember the issue of stones. Then we evolved to the issue of bows and arrows. From there, this is exactly what we saw on Thursday in Ol Kalou constituency. We saw the attacks there, and there is a Prado, which is with carrying ballot papers, and we can see someone on top of it on the moon roof, on the sunroof of the Prado, and he's trying to shoot at maybe the supporters, or even trying to shoot the citizens. So that's how the evolution is looking like, and it is very dangerous for our country, and that's why we've been asking, are we going the Haiti way? And there's something we need to stop as soon as possible. Now, the lessons from Ol Kalou vote. Ol Kalou showed us that people can overcome violence to exercise their democratic rights, but it also showed that a government with its back against the wall will readily subvert the democratic process. Page 14 is a collection of letters. You can check that for yourself. And page 1, and this is now page 1 of the second part of the Daily Nation, is the DN2, and this is powering SME. Check that story for yourself. It's all about the making of an acclaimed business. Check that story for yourself, and that's where we are ending. And this is the second segment of the morning live show here on EBN TV. Thank you for watching. May God bless you. And my name is Jeffrey Kimayo Somba. What's coming up next is Your Faith Today with Reverend Felix Kavoy. Good morning.